Hi, I'm Liv, and recently I found a website called steampeek, and it's the best website I've seen so far to find obscure indie titles.
You can add the tags that you want to see, the tags you want to filter out, pick release dates. Anyways, it's great. And thanks to it, I've discovered tons of cool games that I wouldn't have found otherwise.
Something else I want to say is that I don't force myself to continue playing if I don't like it. I'll give a game like 10 minutes, and if I don't like it, I don't like it. Today I'll be going over 13 demos with varying degrees of quality. They're gonna be presented in the order in which I played them, which means they aren't ranked at all. And I just play long enough to decide if I want to wishlist it or not. I think this comes from the fact that I usually play story-driven games, and it can feel very to have to go over the entire first chapter or whatever the demo is. So yeah, admittedly, I played these games very little, but I think it was enough.
Horror, cool art style that has that fear and hunger vibe to it, resource management, fuck yeah.
Yes, my whole brand is point and click, but I have probably 700 hours in Kingdom to Crowns, Cultist Simulator, the 2 Point franchise. I just love resource management.
I love games where you can just brain off, manage resources. I just don't make videos about them because I have nothing to say. Imagine a whole 37-minute video that's just me creating whole conversations between my monarch and the archers like they're Barbies in my 6-year-old sticky hands. You don't wanna see that. Anyways, back to horripilant. As I said, I like this style of game where numbers get bigger, upgrade stuff, get stronger, I kill the shiny rat, it's very relaxing. I love the art style also, only thing is that my taskbar is still showing, but I'm sure that'll get fixed in the final version. One thing I do hope gets better also is the enemies, because in the first 5 levels of the dungeon, we fight the exact same rats over and over. I'm not saying that the devs should create new and exciting enemies for every single floor, but I would have appreciated different hats, or maybe a knife-wielding rat or something like that. Maybe different color effects on the boss, simple stuff, but that would make it feel less samey. I didn't get too far because I soon noticed that I wanted it, but yeah. If this looks interesting to you, do check the demo out. Wow, this menu is really ugly, okay. The premise of this one is that you can marry a fish person, lead a cult, and manipulate people into joining.
You see manipulate people, I see making friends. Let's go.
You can customize your character, but unfortunately pretty much all the options are ugly unless you give your guy a beard. The UI takes some getting used to, but it's not too bad. So there are people who don't like you, heretics, etc. So you can't befriend them just like that. You have to find another way to warm into their little hearts. And there are people who like you and like the deep ones, so it's easier to befriend them and convince them to do stuff. At the end of the year, we get a dream and this creature talks to us, and then the next day is pressuring us to lower the town's law for us. I don't wanna. That thing doesn't leave the screen. I wish it would just let me choose my own path.
So, turns out that you get missions on the second day, year. But I killed a guy and everyone knew it, so I couldn't get any of the quests done. Because no one wanted to talk to a known murderer?
Well, this has a lot of potential, let's wishlist it. Oh, it's out already, and it has mixed reviews. Basically, it's a buggy mess, kinda empty, and the game's been abandoned. You can experience everything it has to offer in the demo. Well, it's beautiful! This is a dark fantasy, choices matter visual novel. The beginning is a little odd because there are seemingly two mysterious hooks. Like, girl, pick one? But okay.
And then, I unfortunately found out that this game has red wedding syndrome.
When shit is about to go down, George R.R. Martin starts describing every single loaf of bread, silverware, what the tapestries around portray, just everything. That's what I call red wedding syndrome. Conversations drag. Like, girl, back to the editing room. If you wanna include realistic sibling banter and two lovebirds talking, you have to, know how to do that without making the reader go, okay, we get it, can we move on? During every single conversation. That immediately put my brain in, okay, these people can die horribly depending on my actions and the game wants me to grow attached to them, got it, mode. Like, if you overdo the whole getting to know the characters and getting attached to them, you spoil your story because, like, we're not stupid. This isn't my first choices matter rodeo. This honestly put me on the fence with Divine Omen. I mean, the art is so beautiful and the story seems really interesting.
But I really don't wanna have to read 40 minutes of sibling banter to get to the point.
Of course, a little character building is totally fine, but this is just too much of nothing important. The devs do have a competent writer, it's apparent by the way the father character is written, but they seriously need an editor as well. It even takes away from the horror. Like, you enter this room and this body in the middle makes an impact. It's extremely ominous. But then the father conversation is so long, even though it's well written, that by the end of it I'm just like, okay, let's look at this body and get it over with.
It's also gonna be released in episodes, which I'm not a fan of. It can make the story very, fragmented, I guess. I'm looking at you, Sally Face. But it is what it is.
I did wishlist it in the end, but I'm gonna make sure to read the reviews to see if they tone down the scrolls of text before making my purchase. This is a point-and-click horror game that focuses on puzzles, and what caught my eye was that this does not look like a manor. And I finished this demo in around 8 minutes.
8! 8! To have such a short demo, you have to have beautiful visuals and an interesting concept, to justify having just 5 minutes of gameplay. I always try to find the positives with every single game that I showcase in my videos, but I truly don't know with Scarlet Manor.
The story is unoriginal, the dialogue has some really odd quirks that throw me off. Dude, punctuation. Punctuation exists. Comma, exclamation point. Period. The puzzles are piss easy, you can skip one of them entirely by doing the logical thing that everyone does when they're only missing one digit in a code. Brute force it. The art is ugly, there's this puzzle complete effect that even hidden object games have more class than this. I guess it's colored semi-competently, but no, yeah, just throw the whole thing in the trash. Practice drawing background some more, get someone to iron out the weird dialogue and just try again. This is a choose-your-own-adventure visual novel inspired by Ukrainian folklore. From what I've gathered, we're partaking in the New Year's caroling tradition of telling each other stories. And I'm absolutely obsessed with the dub.
With this one, I actually went back and tried to get a different ending before wishlisting it, so yeah, I really liked it. I guess the only thing I want to bring up is something to do with the dictionary.
We get a helpful little dictionary which explains who these characters who are talking to us are, the meaning of certain words, etc. And their descriptions say that they're characters in a New Year's mystery, and the only thing that comes up when I look up New Year's mystery is murder mysteries. But I've heard this term relating to stories that don't involve murder, so please just explain what the New Year's mystery tradition is. Please, someone. This is a point-and-click game that seems to mix different medias. I like how it looks. It doesn't really have much of a story, seems like just a fever dream, which is fine. The bending of perspective creates a really nice effect, I really like how this looks. But the puzzles are kinda whatever, and after you solve this one, there's this animation which at first I was like, okay, that's cool. But then it just kept going, and going.
I'm not gonna subject you to it because it is so boring, but yeah.
What was the thought process behind adding the most drawn out, boring 3D animation 15 minutes into the game? Which, by the way, judging by the walkthrough here, the game is really short. The demo is 25% of the game. Just don't have a demo. I don't know, it feels weird, but that's just my opinion. So yeah, I'm not getting this one, on to the next. So we get off to a rocky start with Reflections of the Void. Booting up the game, we have this helpy girl talking to us, saying that this is a story of blah 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 and about blah blah blah. That immediately put me on edge, because when the visual novel needs a character especially to shell out exposition.
Well, what does that tell you about the dev's writing abilities?
The art style would have also put me on edge. I mean, at first glance it looks like some pretty generic sim-date anime art style, and that combined with the helpy girl, just no.
But wait! This art style has one saving grace.
The hair. Some of the characters' hairs are messy, and that takes more skill than you would have expected, and some thought put into it to implement. Also, none of them have those traditional anime bangs, so I was like, okay, I guess this isn't a regular anime game, let's give it a shot. And indeed, it is not. This seems to be a dystopia where we're confined to this house, taking care of young people assigned numbers, and when the tablet tells us, they'll be shipped off to the new world. It's actually really intriguing, and it stresses matter, so your choices can fuck everything up. I just wish I had found out that this is actually a human meat farm from the game and not from, helpy girl. Why wouldn't you turn that into a huge in-game revelation instead of, fun fact, this is a human meat farm, And apparently she's here to stay. Still, I wishlisted it, we'll see. Ah, yes. It's in Chinese. I barely played through this one, I just decided to keep it in the video because the art is cool and also to ask the question. Why do games have titles in English and then list English as one of the available languages on Steam? And then that's just a lie. Also, you have to press C to interact with stuff. Like you walk with the mouse. Dude, if you're gonna make a point and click game, leave the keyboard alone. Please. The right click is there. Use it. Oh, it's in Polish? Luckily this one does have an English version, so here we go. We're in our room, and there's someone knocking at the door. It's the mailman, bringing an unsigned letter. It's from our brother. We throw it in the trash. Another day, there's someone knocking at the door. It's the mailman, bringing an unsigned letter. It's from our brother. We throw it in the trash. Another day, we're in our room, and there's someone knocking at the door. It's the mailman. No, really, this happens 3 times over. And the same music plays over and over again. It's so annoying, shut up! Also, I'm not intrigued by the family drama. Ooh, we haven't seen our brother in years and our dad left some strange papers. Okay, whatever. The main character's inner monologue is also unnatural and poorly written. And the portraits. My problem with them isn't that they're really ugly, it's that both portraits we see in these first 2 minutes look like the same guy with different customization options. Like, please, be my guest. Make ugly characters, but make them unique. Anyways, this is a poor man's attempt at The Last Door, and I stopped playing at around the 10-minute mark. So with Owl Observatory, I looked at the screenshots and was like, okay, I like this. But then I added the demo to my library so I wouldn't forget. And then I had to keep staring at this ugly ass art. Like, you have a solid art style. Why would you use this as the cover? Sometimes people just love to shoot themselves in the foot. As soon as I started playing and Mr. Owl here appeared, it became clear that this is actually a comedy game. Like, listen to the voice acting.
You have to stay for dinner.
Mr. Brooks sure has taste.
Earl Grey or Darjeeling, peppermint or matcha. Everything is possible with this special teapot.
And I love it. Yeah, the puzzles... Actually, the demo's first puzzle includes a cloning machine that I couldn't quite figure out, but at that point I was already sold, just out of sheer campiness of this owl character. The game has a free first installment, and it's kinda giving me a lot of Harvester game vibes. A little bit?
Which is crazy to say because I've never in my life seen anything match the vibe that Harvester games achieved with the Cat Lady, Downfall, Lorelei, Burnhouse Lane. It's just something so unique to him.
And now I'm over here saying that this dark comedy game is kinda giving that. Crazy. Anyways, definitely gonna keep an eye out for the Owl Observatory. Ooh, nice art, let's see. Okay, we're a vampire, Spike, out to go get blood at a blood bank, and also check up on our friend, whatever, I forgot his name, who's working the night shift at the diner now, even though he has an IT degree, and is good at it. Why? Reaching the diner, we find out more. Our friend was dying a while back, so we gave him a bit of our blood so he'd pull through. Now, that doesn't turn him into a vampire, but that does bind him to us, turning him into basically a servant. Our kind calls them subs. Yes, I know, shut up. Now, you might have already noticed something peculiar about the art, but here's when I finally connected the dots. This dev is using AI, right? Like, for everything, right? I hadn't noticed before because I have played games with very polished art before, the house in Fata Morgana, for example. And I have played games with the subtle movement animation before, the Ladder, for example. And neither of them use AI, or at least they don't list that they use AI on the Steam page. But when I heard the voice acting in The Hungry Town, I was like, okay, there's no way this dev's not using AI.
You see, it's very rare for a game to have amazing art style and then just terrible voice acting. Like, if you're a talented enough artist to pull this off, it's highly likely that you'll just scrap the voices entirely if you can't get quality that matches your style. That's just what I've seen happen.
If you have a super polished product, you're not just gonna add a shitty bonus just because, hey, we have it! With all that said, take a listen to The Hungry Town's voice acting.
It attracts attention. Also, a friend in a big corp would be more useful than a waiter. Am I right? And I'm sorry, Stu.
What for, boss?
Oh, no reason. For the inconvenience. And stop calling me boss.
Yo, we digress, boss. I've got something for you.
And sure enough, you look at the Steam page, there's the AI disclosure. Some image elements were generated using AI and refined using photobash and overpainting. Dude, some? I don't see anything here that I'd go, oh yeah, this doesn't have a drop of AI in it. The diner is supposed to be this cozy, really polished place, so I was like, okay. But later on, we go to a supposedly dingy alleyway, and look at this! Only AI would read the word sketchy alley and then come up with this. The Hungry Town feels like that mobile game Chapters interactive stories, you know? And that's not good. Aside from the bad voice acting and the bad sim date vibes to this game, there's also the ethical question.
I'm sure you've heard it a million times, like, oh, the environment and blah 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 blah. But just to quickly go over it.
This AI that generated some of the base images, what was it trained with? Was it trained solely with images the creator of the game owns the rights to and owns the rights to use commercially? If not, are all the people who own these images used to create the game graphics getting a cut of the profits?
I'm gonna tell you, I find either of those options very hard to believe.
And the problems aren't done, because here's the next one. The story. It's so bad. After checking up with our friend, we go meet our mentor in the alleyway and she gives us a mission. Get inside a corporate building, hack some bigwig's computer, get out, they're meddling with the blood trade. And before we can find out anything with our hacking, something that might instigate our curious George brains, the demo's over. Like, what reason do you have to not end the demo with us hacking, getting some scraps of information, our main character looking surprised, and boom, end?
Not only is it a bad move from a marketing standpoint, but what does that tell me about the dev's ability at storytelling?
It's telling me that they're bad at it. That's what's telling me. So yeah, I thought The Hungry Town was gonna be kick-ass, and even if I ignored the rampant use of AI, which is not something I'm super comfortable with supporting, there's just nothing worth it here. Let's move on. The Supper New Blood is the sequel to a pretty cool short free game, The Supper, which I played a while back, but it's not required to understand this one. We're Siri Appleton, manager of the Twin Sisters Motel, and for some reason we're a magnet of evil people who bully and mistreat us. But no more. Inspired by our granny, who was a famed cook and allegedly used human flesh in her recipes, we're gonna rid the world of all wicked people who find their way into our motel. But wait, how are we gonna make sure we're not killing innocent people on accident? That's where our first recipe comes in, the truth pina colada. We solve wacky puzzles to collect the ingredients needed and then can choose who to kill or interrogate. I like the first game, I like this demo, so I'm definitely gonna get the full game, eventually. Blood on the Thames is a point-and-click, or maybe a visual novel. Well, it sure is something. What caught my eye was the use of real actors and pictures, which is not something you see much of nowadays. So I launched the demo, and oh my god, this is one ugly main menu. From what I've gathered, in the game we're playing a simulation of a Victorian London story. Whether it actually happened or not is unclear. And, okay, I don't know how to approach this. Listen, the game is very unique. Some of the artistic choices are really weird, like the ugly main menu, this filter over the graphics and the comically large dialogue box, but they end up adding to the charm. Like, yeah, we're playing in a clunky simulation and I love it. Also, thank god this isn't just point and click first person movement. That only happens a few times. Otherwise we'd have a man overboard. Something else I appreciated here are the puzzles. Just like the visuals, they're so creative and unique. We check a list to figure out what's missing from our ship, we have a Danganronpa moment, having to select the right evidence to argue against a guy. There's this interactive get the chair out of the way moment. It all develops in a really unexpected way, so yeah, I really liked it, and oh no, what is that? Why is there an AI dog here? I look and there it is, the AI disclaimer. AI has been used for some unique textures and photo adjustments. No assets are created AI exclusively. I tried to find some more information on how exactly AI was used but couldn't find any. Since the game doesn't reek of AI and it actually feels super unique and creative and the story is compelling, I decided to take extreme measures to find out the truth. I emailed the dev. He was very nice and told me that they tried to go about it ethically, using Photoshop AI generator to add backdrops to the pictures of the actors. Since the studio is small, they decided that it would be better to spend their resources elsewhere. But good news! They made enough money with Blood on the Thames that they won't be needing to use AI for their next project. Yippee! Congrats to them! So yeah, I'm okay with that minimal and conscious use of AI, so into the wishlist you go.
So yeah, those were 13 horror demos. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna link all of them in the description. Some of them are already out, but others aren't yet. And yeah, I'm gonna make more videos if an anvil doesn't fall on my head. Bye!